Wow, it's all about perspective. Wow, establishment. Hey to the fam. This is a continuation. We got cut off around the 1 hour mark, so I'm just continuing with this series, the physics of our creator, ancient knowledge, and true chronology. We're about to get into that Kremlin, back in that true chronology series, man. The Anatoly for the Manco, but let's just pick up where we left off with our perspective. We're talking perspective with this ice ring and this ice reef of the UN flag. So again, the UN flag are playing you. They got it right in your face. North America, South America, North America, South America, the AE projection, the AE as muzzle, equidistant. Again, North America, South America, the same bird's eye view with the same ice ring that you can't escape, right? Except that this Japanese cartographer, what they say 10 centuries ago, 1,000 years ago, found in the Japanese caves, they found this map of more worlds, just like Admiral Byrd said, there's more worlds, and they found you in another world. Now, do each of these worlds have their own sun? Is there just other suns outside of these, you know what I'm saying, as you pass the dark realms and regions? As our sun, you know, keeps us nice and toasty, how do you keep these particular lands nice and toasty if your sun just goes around you or goes over you? Are we talking about the space loop, you know, where you got the sun just going over you like that, or going over everything? I mean, how does it play, and is it play? Again, same projection, ice ring, here's the reef, ice ring, more worlds, and here's back to the drop that our brother Isaac Ford dropped on us. Let's get it. More worlds. Bang. More worlds. North, South America, same ice ring, looking down. So this is a perspective of your habitat, my people. And again, you're prisoners of war. So why would the people that have you subjugated, again, your invader has to continuously invade you forever. That's why you're in perpetual bondage, because they're on your land invading you forever. Until when? You see again how the flow of this ocean, this true ocean, they were trapped right here in the Mediterranean Sea, according to Plato. And you know what I mean, they were all trapped. They couldn't get out into the true ocean. Now you see this ocean going this clockwise, and you see outside the ice ring, this is Antarctica, my people. This is the ice, this is the reef on the UN flag. They have one sun, they have the moon, and this dark object, which is responsible for your eclipses, not the globaler position of the earth and the moon and this. Nah, man, there's another body that is eclipsing the moon. They're calling it Set in Anubis. So of course we're in this Egypt Atlantean framework, but let's dodge the hijack of it and see the truth about the dimensions, about our dimensions here. So unlike the other ice wall we saw that was closed, this one has an opening, and they're calling it the Summer Gate. And it says Ra, Bawabat, Ra. So you got Ra outside of this ice ring, this reef of the UN flag. You have Thoth, a moving island, the moving island of Thoth. Then you have another moon that they're calling Yah. We got in the previous part about the exclamation of defiance and why they would be calling this the exclamation of defiance next to Thoth. You get it? Now you see another sun, one sun, two suns. Now this doesn't show as many of the lands as the Japanese map, which lets you know that there must be more suns. More suns. The Book of Enoch says the sun's only 32 miles in diameter. It's close. It's not 96 million miles away in some outer space. All this is inner space. All this space is within the barrier that Thoth has to run away from. The hounds of the barrier that move in angles. He has to move in circular patterns with little known angles to outrun these angels that move in angles, this Thoth. So when they go into outer space, they're just going straight across this ice ring that surrounds you, this Antarctic treaty that was formed in the 50s that keeps you completely cut off from the rest of it. And they surround this barrier with all their machinery, right? Oh, we're just doing research. Yeah, we're just researching. Okay. But they're really protecting it, and they don't let you explore past it, except Admiral Byrd in the 40s said, man, Operation High Jump, you look it up, they sent a whole entire government fleet, over 5,000 soldiers, to look for Nazis. Where? In Antarctica. Well, Antarctica surrounds you. And what's past it? More land. So where did these Hitler situation go? Did he go underground, or did he just go to more land? Is he kicking it with Thoth's moving island? With the other sun and the other moon? I mean, these are more projections that are worth digging into further. You got more land here called Patatia and Gemenia and Habis, and you got Thoth's moving island. You got some more stuff here. Now, this is another ice wall. One ice wall, a bigger ice wall. So you get past these waters, they're flowing in the other direction, and then you get another sun and another moon and another dark object forming eclipses and another wall with more gates. Is it play, man? Love to Irvin, my bro Isaac Reed, love to Irvin Reed. Isaac Ford, Irvin Reed, all these researchers, man, been dropping so much, man, on all of us, AD, Hiram, Uno, all of us, man. So we all been building, man. Love to all the sisters that's been building with us, man, and teaching, and Chris Duncan and October, man, and, you know what I'm saying? All of this effort, man, all this energy, Arthur Scott Jr., all this energy going into the community. Man, love to my brothers, Hiram, love to my brothers, let's go. All right, so love to my sisters, love to the queens, everyone holding us down. So love to Isaac Ford for that. So again, we're just talking about this ice ring and more worlds. Now these are even more, right? So you see how this is one ice ring and another one, or maybe there'll be another one outside of all this. All right, so how many more suns? This is perspective. When they have you at war, they take away your habitat, they flip you upside down. So again, you think that Upper and Lower Egypt just is referring to some polar ice shifts, but what if there's no polars? What if there's no globe? Right, so your poles are relative to the flow. You're just talking about the flow. The moving flow are the poles over this flat plane. Plane is planet. Planet comes from plane. Flat, spread out. Planet to make devious. What devious plan do they have? By keeping you locked into what they call the Middle Earth. Alright? So you're in the Middle Earth, people. They got you trapped in the Middle Earth, and there's more out. That's why Admiral Byrd said, man, every country's going to be interested in Antarctica, you know, for all of the new resources. He said, man, it was pure uranium in this other land the size of North America. Look up, you know what I'm saying, that joint. Matter of fact, like it's the first time. Remember the UN flag, all right? So if you ain't got that specific part, you know, I know we saw it a couple times. Let's just dig on it right quick. Let's just do this right quick, man. Let me turn off my flutes right quick. Man, let everybody digging in the library. Keep digging on it. Keep digging on it. Oh, my babies are up, man. It's time. It's tennis time, man. We get down with some tennis, man, about 5 days a week, man. I play tennis with my 4 little ones, including my 2-year-old, man. And they're getting good, man. It's cool, man, just vibing with them. You know what I'm saying? Seeing which way it goes, man. Love the RFG, man. I want to get into some RFG, hopefully for the dismount. Let's see. Admiral Byrd interview. Yeah. Operation High Jump. We'll dig on that later, man. But it's called High Jump because these walls are 200, 300 feet high in the so-called Antarctica. So you have to jump over them. It's a high jump. It's like the Game of Thrones, right? Now, Admiral Byrd said that there's more land. He discovered this in the 40s, people. You just now seeing the maps thinking, oh, is that right? Is it play? This was discovered in the 40s, man. This is ancient knowledge, man. What's the deal?
A presentation of the Longines Whitnor Watch Company, maker of Longines, the world's most honored watch, and Whitnor, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope? Larry Lasser, CBS News correspondent, and Kenneth Crawford, National Affairs Editor of Newsweek magazine. Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
The North Pole used to be a no-man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. You know, only 30 or more years ago, about 35 years ago,
First of all, they're talking about exploring the North Pole, and no, you cannot fly over it. They don't let you, any commercial plane, fly over it. They say it's a magnetic mountain, or it used to be the tree of life, but they don't let you see what's on that pole. But where are the poles really? The North Pole is really the South Pole. But look, they're talking about exploring, and I want you to just pay attention to how different your mentality is today about exploring. Now we say more land. You say you crazy. Back then they said more land. They said let go.
Guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans.
Man, he's not a conspiracy. He's the greatest living explorer, making contributions to countless Americans. He's the government's main guy to go explore and fight whatever force. If they think it's Nazis, they sent him and 5,000 people. He's the admiral. All right. He's the one that they go to for the go-to. Now look at what he says, and then he ends up dying, I think, shortly after this, and then you never hear about Antarctica again.
Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Middle America.
And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
job.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
An area the size of America beyond where no one has ever seen or stepped foot in. How is it so big and unexplored, and why do we not care and call each other loony when we say there's more land beyond these poles? What pole? Oh, I get it. I'm talking about the ice wall. There's more land beyond the ice wall that you're calling the pole. All right? There's an hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet high ice wall. You've seen the Japanese map. You've seen what they're doing on the UN flag. You've seen what the brother Isaac Ford just dropped with Thoth floating island outside of the gates, the summer gates of Ra. Let's go.
And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
job.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral,
Yeah.
would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they're safer, and they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Whoa, the government has really become interested. Oh, now you just hear about them saying we're interested in going to the moon. Oh, we're going to Mars. But they were then interested in exploring this world here, which contains more worlds here. They still haven't explored the oceans here. They still haven't explored millions of acres of the Grand Canyon. So if they haven't explored what's here, what makes you really think they're exploring there? They said they sent satellites to Pluto before they even figured out the Van Allen belt and getting beyond this vibrational layer that they can't get past. So they hide more worlds here and tell you you're on a spinning ball so that you're spinning around for the rest of your life and you'll never have one still moment being firm, fixed, and immovable. They tell you you're on a spinning ball so that you think there's a finite amount of land because you're dealing with a finite ball at 26,000 miles in diameter. Well, if you're on a plane that does not have a finite amount of land that you're still exploring, that makes you want to explore more land. If you're on a ball, you think, well, how much more land is it? I mean, I see the ball. Oh, you talking about the lands that are sunk? Yeah, and I'm talking about the lands that are not sunk beyond the ice. You say, oh, the government's going to be so interested in this thing. And are you now, or is this a hush-hush, oh, we're just doing research in Antarctica situation? How are they exploring and finding new worlds in the 40s, and today we're just doing research?
So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Bang.
Well, Admiral Byrd, I can understand, I think everybody can, the interest in the North Pole because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia. But why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is it?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident, that's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested.
Okay.
It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world.
It's by far the most valuable, important place beyond the ice.
For science.
Okay.
That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that,
all right.
It has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources.
An untouched reservoir of natural resources. They're not just talking about, oh, the little ice areas that they're researching. He just told you that there's more land the size of America beyond the ice. And it is filled with these resources that he's about to say they're going to be fighting over soon. And now they don't even mention it.
And, as the world shrinks with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places, once useless, like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have military importance?
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future...
He's not playing. He's saying something is shrinking. Now, we're about to see some drop about the clouds are getting lower and lower. I mean, are things shrinking? Is it becoming closer?
I can see a time when it will be very, very important strategically.
Well, has the development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the
very much
Palma Peninsula, was it?
Very much so. Even now, if anything happened and we lost the Panama Canal, we would have to control the islands just north of Antarctica, which are part of Antarctica. Then between there and Cape Horn.
I've heard it said that there are 7 continents in the world, and one of them has never been seen by a woman, and that's Antarctica. Is that actually true?
Well, if the Palma Peninsula is an island, as far as I know, that's true. No woman's ever stepped foot upon the Antarctic continent, and it's the most peaceful place in the world.
Well, I'm sure that won't last very long. I understand now that you're working with the Arnold Bread Company in charge of frozen foods. Now, is there any future for frozen foods down these frozen extremities?
Well, I think the human...
Let me skip ahead.
Probably uranium there.
Is it any secret?
It's 100 below zero in the winter.
Well...
It was once tropical. So we think there's oil there, and there's evidence, probably uranium there.
And see how he paused. He didn't really want to say that. Now look at his eyes. He's like, shit. I just announced to the entire world that there's uranium. Now, uranium is what they make all their weapons. I mean, hey, uranium, man. Research it. All right. What else? What else, Admiral Byrd?
Is there uranium there? That would be the only thing that would be practical to actually go after, I suppose. Everything else would be economically unfeasible, wouldn't it?
Well, as we recklessly expend our resources, the time will come when we'll have to go after that stuff down there. Well, I avoided what you said about uranium. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to have the world fighting over the Antarctic.
He tries to bring it back. He says, man, void what I just said about the uranium. I don't want the entire world fighting about Antarctica again. They're not talking about the Antarctica, they're talking about the lands. The lands. The lands. They're talking about the lands. He's saying he found a land the size of America. He's not talking about the ice. He's talking about uranium. He's talking about the tropical areas outside of that. He's trying to be slick with it. But man, where do they go? Where they blast off into outer space? Do they just go into inner space? Do they just go into the other worlds?
Competition among other nations to try to get information about Antarctica and possibly to secure some of these resources?
Well, yes. There are now 7 nations very much interested. Russia is interested tremendously. That I'm sure of. Australia has an expedition down there. The Argentine, the Chile, New Zealand, Britain, and so on. Now, you can understand those people down there being interested because they live down there. The New Zealanders, the Argentinians, the Chileans, and the Australians. And so we don't do much about claiming anything.
Admiral, you make it sound
So they did what? They made a treaty with everybody. So there wouldn't be all-out war over the resources called the Antarctic Treaty. Look it up.
Are there that many expeditions now there or en route there?
Well, you know, as I said, it's the most peaceful place in the world, but I don't think it will be for long.
Bang.
Because of this intense interest on the part of other nations and this nation.
But Admiral Byrd, are private expeditions a thing of the past? Is expedition and exploration, making expedition and exploration now purely a government function because of the tremendous cost?
No, I don't think so. I think down south, it may be more or less a thing of the past.
Now, it's a thing of the past in the 40s? Private exploration? All right? Private exploration, where you can go yourself privately and explore, was a thing of the past in the 40s, man. So they shut the door on any private, independent exploration then and started governmentizing it all.
But not other expeditions that go. There's a lot of them going off now.
This latest expedition now on the way is a government expedition, I take it.
Yes, that's the government.
Bang.
May I ask you, is there a great difference between the top of the world and the bottom of the world?
Listen up.
There is. Now, the North Pole is the center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep.
The center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep? The North Pole is the center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep. All right, remember all that North Pole drop? Let's go.
The South Pole, the center of a plateau, 10,000 feet high.
The center of a plateau 10,000 feet high. You're talking about a mountain. You're talking about a tree, Mount Meru, whatever you want to call it. A magnetic mountain 10,000 feet high.
The North Polar Sea is surrounded by continents slightly frozen. The Antarctic continent is surrounded by a belt of ice, frozen seas of at least 1,200 miles thick. Now
So, of course, we know this thing goes around us, so we dodge that particular hijack. And again, we're talking about these plateaus. We must be talking about many plateaus in many other worlds.
South is a plateau. It gets, in some places, 14,000 feet up. I've been over areas about 13,000. And it's a little bit chilly up there. So there's that big difference between the top and bottom of the world. The North really isn't very cold up there on the Arctic Ocean.
Not compared to the South. Admiral Byrd, we often hear it said that our young Americans now aren't as hardy as their forefathers. Do you think that Americans do measure up to the standards, the physical standards? And
Man, nah, man. Because you don't know what an American is, man. An American is the copper color race is found here. It ain't got nothing to do with your physical standards, my man. But again, we're just talking about that drive beyond the pole. Alright, this is just ancient knowledge. Now let's get on this chronology. Thought moving island, what? Oh yeah, I want to get on this right quick. You see the flow of the ocean, how it's going clockwise here and counterclockwise. Now if you go inside, you'll see another counterclockwise. And the further you get in the North Pole, another clockwise. You know what I'm saying? We had a great, let's see if I can pull it up quickly, a map of this. What was it called? Let's see if we can just find. Oh, I know where I have it up. Got it on the drive. Let's get to some of this drive. Remember, man, this is fair use on your caboose bone. Let me just see if I can pull something up right quick. Because it's going to give you another perspective of the flow of the water. Which again, we're talking about the water. We're talking about the poles. All that good stuff. Maybe I can pull it up off of here, man. Love to everybody, man. Dropping that drop. Those great comments. Those great comments. We'll be back in this series. Man, this is a fun series, man. This Kalelu's Promised Land. It's too real, man. Too much fun. Let me get this link for you. Let's see if I have it here. There we go. It's always here, man. I got links for you, man, all day. I got NASA documents, man. What do you want? What do you want? 5 for 10, 10 for 5. Freedom pies, freedom enchiladas. I got freedom seeds, so you can plant your own freedom plants. Now, this particular joint is called earth.nullschool.net, and it shows you the currents. But the great thing about these water currents and these wind currents, right, is that we can see them on different projections. So here you see again, this is the azimuthal equidistant. All right. Here they call it the AE. Okay, again, so the azimuthal equidistant. And this is the same thing that we were looking at, you know what I'm saying? Right here, all right? The same projection, just twisted a little around. Okay. Now, look at the this ocean current here. Look at the water system, all right? So you see how on the inside, you see it going clockwise. Then as you go out, you see it going counterclockwise. See all this flowing counterclockwise. When you go further out, you start to see another clockwise. Then you see another counterclockwise. So you see inside and you see a counterclockwise. You know what I mean? So you saw one current going this way, one current. Now this is just order. You're looking at this, you see the counter, you see the clockwise. You see it going in and out. Very similar to how we're seeing on this, where you see these arrows going clockwise, these arrows going counter. All right. Now, here's the one that they want you to believe you are on. What's that? Maybe the CE? Let's try the CE. Nah. Let's try. Let's see. Oh, this is the Neil deGrasse Tyson version. This is your egg. Remember he said the egg shape. So if you're on the egg shape, just imagine. I mean, just look at the chaos. First of all, you see water going this way, up, left, right, down. Is this chaos or order? Look at this. This is what they show you in the news. Oh, this storm system is going this way, and this one's going that way. And it's all chaos, right? But yeah, Neil deGrasse want to put you... Neil deGrasse, man. Man. Got that static all up in his ass, man. Because then you're on an egg, all right? So again, what's your perspective on an egg? If you're living on this part of the egg, you're looking down. Do you have the same horizon as this person that's on the bottom here? I mean, will everyone see boats going down on the horizon, or will some people be looking up on the horizon depending on where you're at on that egg? I mean, that's a lot of curvature. You can't even find curvature on your ball, but you got an egg. That's a lot of curvature you should be having, right? All right, here's their global ball. Let's look at the ocean. Is this chaos or order? Look at the chaos here. Look at this going this way. You don't see the order. You just see chaos. This going here, here. There's no order to their projections, my people. Let's look at this one more. All right, here's your traditional map, right? Here's what you see. All right. Oh yeah, we're in the west, they're in the east, and look at the water. Look at the wind, look at the water. Same flow, chaos. Look at this chaos. Look at that chaos. Now, only one of these projections give you any similitude of order, and that is your azimuthal equidistant. Again, going back to the Persian cartographer and before. This is your bird's eye view. All right, your same view, the same view. Looking down, more lands, Admiral Byrd said in the 40s. Then they formed their treaty. And that was it for you, right? Because after they formed their treaty, you lost your order. You lost your true ocean order. Counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise. Look at that. Chaos or order. So here you see the order. The same order that, you know, Thoth is trying to show you with his red arrows here. Going counterclockwise and clockwise. He's trying to give you some drop, letting you know that there's a counterclockwise, clockwise flow of the water. And that is your pole. That's your real pole, your real situation. You're not on a ball. This is looking down. And of course, there is more land beyond the pole. So, you know, you got this link. It's always there for you to click on. You know what I'm saying? You can dig on order. Or, you know, you can enjoy your standard chaos. Order or chaos. I mean, this is what you got to decide on. What frequency are you in? Look at this. What projection is this? Some other chaotic projection of a sphere. And this is your traditional joint. And again, chaos. This is what you get off the news. Chaos, 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 chaos. All around. Just look at the flow. You can't even meditate on it. When you go back to that AE, when you go back to that bird's eye looking down, when you go back to the same flow that's on the UN map, you see the flow of the order. You see the projection. One more time. One more time, one more again. It's the same projection that they put on the UN flag, all right? You see how they divided into the 33 here, these lines, this section. This is how they gridded you off. This is how they gridded you off, my people. Now you're a target. Now you're in the Middle Earth, surrounded by them in their treaty, their Antarctic treaty. Now you're a target in their system. Now you're surrounded by their dominating global force, their global treaty. All right, same thing. Here's your targets. Here's your targets. It's the same doggone projection. The same projection. South America, North Africa. South America, North Africa. This is Australia over here. Look at Australia here. Look at Australia here. All right, North, South America. All right, North, South America. All right, so that's just a little bit. Let's keep going. Y'all click that link. Y'all get it. So again, get that previous part because we got some gematria. Now, we got cut off a little bit in this Mount Roraima. And here's appreciate the fan that dropped this on us. Mount Roraima, mountain in South America, giant flat-top mountain or mesa in the Pacoraima Mountains of Guiana Highlands at the point where the boundaries of Brazil, Venezuela, and Guyana meet. 9 miles long, 9,000 feet high. It is the source of many rivers of Guyana and the Amazon and Orinoco. Didn't Columbus tell you that the Orinoco River flowing out of South America connected to the terrestrial paradise? Didn't Columbus tell you that the Orinoco River, how you spell it? Orinoco River, Eden, Columbus, how you spell it? Nope, Columbus. I don't know, however, you know what I'm talking about. You just put that in, Orinoco River, Eden, Columbus. Surf the wave, what do you get? This is Side X Rose, Virginia. Where's this Orinoco flow? Orinoco, man, Orinoco flow. Christopher Columbus was keenly interested in finding the lost Garden of Eden. One of his prized possessions was a copy of the Cardinal Pierre Diali's Imago Mundi, a geographical treatise that suggested terrestrial paradise perhaps is the place which the authors call the Fortunate Islands, the Canary, off the northwest coast of Africa. Okay, but Columbus' copious marginal notes demonstrates his abiding interest in mapping the location of the lost garden when he stumbled into the island of Hispaniola. Listen, my people, activate, vibrate, drop nation. When Columbus Colombo, Cristobal, the Christ bearer, when he stumbled on the island of Hispaniola, Haiti, Columbus believed he was close to rediscovering Eden in Haiti. Why? He was close to South America. Why? A belief reinforced by the strength of the Orinoco River. So by the strength of this Orinoco, Columbus connected that to the terrestrial paradise, Eden. I have never read or heard of so great a quantity of fresh water. Remember, we got the fresh water, the Calais loose. Huh? Get that forbidden histories, man. It's all connected. I have never read or heard of so great a quantity of fresh water so coming into and near the salt, he wrote to the Spanish King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. And the very mild climate also supports this view. And if it does not come from paradise, it seems to be still a greater marvel. For I do not believe that there is known in the world a river so great and so deep. Now, Columbus is a world explorer. And he's saying that in South America, this river, this Orinoco, connecting to the terrestrial paradise Eden, he's never seen such a greater marvel. I do not believe that there is known in the world a river so great, so deep. I have never read or heard of so great a quantity of fresh water coming near the salt water. Eden. Who are you? You are the 9. You are connected to the terrestrial paradise. Who is Prester John? Huh? And what is beyond the poles? Huh? You got all this, man. You got all this drop. You got the drop. You already had the drop. So what are we getting? What are we getting about this Mount Roraima that is 9 miles long, 9,000 feet high? It is the source of many rivers of Guyana, Amazon, and the Orinoco. So you're telling me that this tree stump, that's as big as we get it? All right, cool. All right. You telling me that this tree stump, which is clearly a tree stump cut off, is the source of the Amazon and the Orinoco, which Columbus just said he's never seen a river so great and so deep and so strong, and it must be connected to Eden? So this is the source of the water that's coming from Eden? That's connected to Eden? This source is connected to Eden? Now, is this a mountain or is it a tree? Oh, it's just a flat mountain. Or is this a giant tree stump? And is this a, very much alive root system here that will one day flourish again? And these are your actual trees. And the ones you see around you are just the marsh and the mush and the brushes, but you call them trees. So what happened to your oxygen, my people? And what happens when you're oxygen deprived, my people? You become stupid. And the Creator said, I'm going to put a spirit of stupor on you. Your trees are cut, your oxygen is cut, and you have become oxygen deprived and stupid. Billions of your brain cells disappear and die because of oxygen deprivation at birth. All that connectivity gone because of your oxygen, gone because of your trees, gone, and now the Negroes gone off their land and they think they're black. The copper color race is found here by the European, according to the 1828 Webster Dictionary. This is a tree stump. This is Mount Roraima, or tree Roraima. And what's so important about this tree? It's in South America, a giant flat top mountain. No, a tree, a cut off tree. At the point where the boundaries of Brazil and Venezuela and Guyana meet. Now, you know the Venezuela connection to Solomon. We got some of that. This is very important. Venezuela plays huge when it comes to Solomon and Prester John. Brazil, Guyana. Now you got the tree that they're calling the source of the rivers of Guyana, Amazon, and Orinoco. And I wish we had it a little bigger, but you can see water coming out of it. Water coming out the root of this tree. Because your mountains are trees. And it's filled with water. And it's the source of all these great rivers, including the Orinoco, connected to the terrestrial paradise. On the top of the mountain, it rains almost every day, washing away most of the nutrients for plants to grow and creating a unique landscape of bare sandstone. All right, yeah, okay. This was created by water. Okay, let go. This also creates some of the highest waterfalls in the world. You saw these waterfalls coming out of it. So I'm going to drop this link, man, because, you know, here you go. Here you go with this. Now, look, it says, failed by one of their ancestors, the tree crashed to the ground, unleashing a terrible flood. Well, I guess if this tree went all the way to the heavens like it did, connected to the firmament like it did, and it fell, that might create a flood. They say this Roraima lies in a Guyana shield in the southeastern corner of Venezuela's 30,000-kilometer Canaima National Park, which is roughly located in the Grand Sabana, Grand Canyon, Sabanyan region, huh? The tabletop mountains of the park are considered some of the oldest geological formations of Earth, dating back to the pre-Cambrian era. I looked that up. They say in 2 billion years. All right, man. All right, man. So it says, it is thought that the reports from early Victorian expeditions to the mountain, inspired by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to write his classic adventure yarn, The Lost World, 1920, now made into countless films. Since long before the arrival of European explorers at Venezuela, the mountain has held a special significance for the indigenous people. Wait. So this mountain holds a special significance to the indigenous people? Is it because it's connected to Eden? The Orinoco River flowing out the terrestrial paradise according to Columbus? The indigenous peoples are connected to this. This mountain explores in Venezuela. Special significance for the indigenous, Negro, Hebrew people of the region, and it is central to many of their myths and legends. The Piman Indians in the Grand Sabana see Roraima as the stump of the mighty tree. I can't make this shit up. I have not read this. It was just dropped on it in Love to Drop Nation. So I'm reading it with you, about to flip out. Look, man. The Piman Indians of the Grand Sabana see Roraima as the stump, the tree stump. A giant tree stump. Alright. This mountain marks the border between Venezuela, Brazil, Guyana. So this tree stump, this tree is the border of all of this Guyana, Brazil, Venezuela situation. The Piman Indians of Grand Sabana see Roraima as the stump of the mighty tree that once held all the fruits and tuberous vegetables in the world. Wow. So when I say they cut your trees down, and each tribe had their tree, and each of your tribes had their tree that they were fed off of, and when they cut your trees, they cut down your ecosystem, they cut your oxygen, they cut your food. Now you eat like them, but you used to have the fruits and vegetables from the tree, the mighty tree that was once a stump, man. Felled by one of their ancestors, felled by one of their ancestors or by the angels. The tree crashed to the ground, unleashing a terrible flood. Rore in the Pima language means blue-green, and Ma means great blue-green. This is the great blue-green, the tree, the great blue-green, Roraima. Mount Roraima has been climbed on a few occasions. So they're even calling it a tree. These indigenous people who got the drop beyond the poles are even calling it a tree. Mount Roraima, I just want to see if I can get a nice big picture of this, man. I know they got them. I don't want to cheat my indigenous people of their tree stump, man. The source of the Amazon, the source of the Orinoco, is it also the source of the Nile? And is this how they said that this King David or Prester John controlled the source of the Nile? If you control this source, do you control the source of the Nile? And is the Nile the Mississippi in ancient times, flowing north and south, upper and lower? Upper America, Lower America, North and South America, Upper, Lower Egypt. Oh, look at this. This is what I wanted you to see. So the clouds don't even get that high. And now you have this tree and this water. Doesn't it look majestic? And it was what? Important. The Piedmont Indians. Let me go back. Since long before the arrival of European explorers in Venezuela, the mountain has held a special significance for the indigenous autochthon people, Anasazi of the region, and it is central to many of their myths and legends, or their truth, their reality. And these Piedmont, if they, whoever they are, but they are passing down this information. They see Rama as the stump of the mighty tree that fell and created this flood. But they once were able to eat their fruits and vegetables, this tribe, because it was so important to the indigenous. You see, they got lakes of water on top of it. Man, imagine, just imagine. And this is people that lived in the tree. Now you see it's been quarried out. This tree stuff's been cut down. It's been mined. It's been quarried out by machinery. How much drop did they get from this tree? You see all these buildings and shit today. This stuff didn't come from nowhere. These stones are the rocks, and all your rocks you're seeing are these mighty trees broken off. Rocks and stones, and they're calling mountains and mesas, and even the ones that aren't flat were just broken off. Mount Everest is just a mighty tree. Mount Everest, it's a tree. You break off a tree, it'll splinter up like what you're calling a mountain, or you can cut it off nice and smooth. And we're just talking about Roraima. All right, man, I want to get back into our chronology now. This is true chronology. I want to do a brief recap, and I want to go right into the Kremlin drop. All right, and then we'll see where we're at from there. Let's go. All right, so we're just getting back into the Anatoly Fomenko. He's breaking down how he's breaking down these historical events. We're just talking about the history they gave you. All right, so then, he's showing his process, his method of showing you that there's duplicates and phantoms, and that everything that's happening around this so-called medieval time is being projected in the past, and you're calling it BC. You're saying, oh, Jesus Christ, before Christ, after Christ. What if there was no BC? If there was no BC, you're on a whole nother timeline, and maybe you're on that 5777, not 2017. And what's so significant about 5778 or 2018? What is the real chronology? Is it billions or thousands? Is the sun billions of miles away, or millions, or is it thousands? What's the real? And if it's more significant to the indigenous people, showing how all this is revolving around them. And if they keep putting you into billions and billions and just millions, they make you small. Once you get the drop, it's a lot smaller. And maybe that's what Admiral Byrd meant by the world is shrinking, because it's a lot smaller. It's a system revolving around these indigenous people. And their fall is the fall of the whole system. And when the system fights back, the people fight back. When your trees fight back, you fight back with your trees.
Структура, которая показывала, как на оси времени расположены повторы исторических событий. Эта карта получила название глобальной хронологической карты. Именно она показывает, какой должна быть истинная
хронология. That is, it shows what should be the true chronology of the historical events. It became apparent that in the traditional chronology there are three major time shifts, people. These are your time shifts. This is what they did. They found the drop and then they pushed it back 300 years, 1,000 years, and 1,800 years, and formed their Gregorian, Julian situation with a new timeline. They spread out dynasties. They put duplicate dynasties, not just in Egypt, but in Rome and every other hijacked facility. They spread out everything. They blasted you open. Now you're putting yourself back together, getting the babies back. Look at the time shifts, 300, 1,000, 1,800.
И многие реальные исторические события Средневековья были на бумаге размножены средневековыми хронистами.
A lot of real historical events of the Middle Ages were copied on paper by medieval chronologers and sent back into the past, man.
И отправлены в прошлое.
How could this happen? Did they make some unintentional mistakes, huh? Was it unintentional? Alright, take the four ancient chronicles. They all describe the same events that occurred, for example, in Europe in the 1400s. Alright. All four chronicles are talking about the 1400s in Europe. We're about to get in the Kremlin. 1400s. Again, when was the Book of David really written? When were you really in Babylonian exile? And why are your exilarchs popping up in the 1200s? Why are your Israelite kings during the time of Babylonian captivity popping up around the 1200s, 1300s, 14th century? Who was Prester John, man? Who's King David? Who were the Picts? Wake up, people. This just happened. But these authors were not living in different countries, even at different times. They spoke and wrote in different languages. Maybe they just messed up, man.
Они говорили и писали на разных языках. Использовали разные летоисчисления.
Not surprisingly, in telling of the same king. So you might call him Lebnadangle. You might call him King David. You might call him Raja Hiraja Chola. You might call him David Soslan. You might call him all these different things. You might call him Mansa Musa. Mansa Musas and Musas and Mansas. But not surprisingly, in telling of the same king, city, or battle, they gave them totally different names. So we're not playing when we're trying to connect these things. Alexander the Great is connecting to Prester John. All these different king titles and different things are starting to line up as phantoms and duplicates. But what is the original drop? The oregano flow. Therefore, when chroniclers in the 1500s and 1600s read these records, they decided that they were talking about four very different eras. And instead of putting these accurate accounts simultaneously on a time axis, they arranged them in sequence, that is, one after another. So they dropped one chronicle in the 1400s. All right, so then you get, oh, here's what happened in the 1400s. And they took that same king, gave it a different name, and then they did what? They pushed it back 300 years to the 1100s. So now you're like, well, how's Prester John here in the 1100s and here in the 1400s? A third, they pushed back 1,000 years. You're like, wait, this other character, Theodorus, is looking like Prester John too. And then in the fourth, they pushed back 1,800 years. So you're going to find somebody else with some drop. And you'll be like, well, who is really this Christ? Who is really this? Who is really that? If they're all the same people, the same kings pushed back 1,000 years, 300 and 1,800 years. Look how they dropped you off. Boom, drop off. 1,000 years, drop off. Way back in the BCs. Look at the B's. But what if there was no C anointed of these Greeks? What if they just made it up and put it in that timeline, and your real Mashiach is Joshua, and that's really the real Yeshua, Joshua, and that's really the Mashiach that led you to the promised land? But you don't care about that because we're all one now, huh? We're all just black now, huh? No separation, huh? You are tribal. Tribal means you're separate. You are alchemy. You are the pure substance. You are nine. You are separate. You must separate to be nine. And then the rest of the tree can flourish once the root is in order. So this is Anatoly for the Manco. Every time you hear me saying, for the Manco. All right, now look at this little map with this little, like an ice wall around his map, man. All right. You know I love my maps. All right, man, it's getting cold, man. All right, let's go. So only with the help of mathematical statistics can we have a truly objective analysis of old texts. Without them, unfortunately, it is impossible to construct a chronology. So this Russian chronographer is telling us it's impossible without the mathematical statistics. All right, so how does the math add up? How are they playing your mathematics, your numbers? How are they manipulating your numbers? Therefore, to us, the current chronology was never truly established. Never, people. Don't believe the hijack. No hijacks allowed. Once again, I got those shirts dropping soon, man. So look out, because we are rocking no hijacks allowed. It was based on very subjective methods. Subjective meaning it's somebody else's drop. Somebody else's subjective drop. It means it's the half-truth or not at all. As long as the chronology did not use the methods of mathematics, statistics, and astronomy, the field of history will be very subjective. So when you put in the numbers, when you put in the stats, when you add it up with even the celestial connection, the field of history will be very subjective without it, because they're just putting shit and dropping it off in the past. They're not even putting all the flow into it and have a very shaky foundation, which is what you're learning in public school with your globe in every classroom. Hijack is real. Alright, so we can say that today the project, The New Chronology by Federmanko and Nosovsky, consists of two parts. So they'll break down that. We got that before. I just wanted to get a little recap. But like I said, let's get into this Kremlin. I just want to fall back and see how this relates to Rus, to Russia. Alright, dodge the hijack. I don't know, but let's just see what we got. I'm gonna let you fall back and we'll get ready for our dismount soon.
Series of popular science films. History, fact, or fiction. This film contains material from the New Chronology of Fomenko Nosovsky. The makers of the film express their thanks to Fomenko and Nosovsky. He who controls the past controls the future. George Orwell, 1984. The central book of Christianity, the Bible, contains many secrets. One of them is the construction of Jerusalem, described in the Old Testament in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. These books tell us that Jerusalem was captured by troops of the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar and was totally destroyed, but was restored 70 years later. However, the Bible does not tell us whether Jerusalem was rebuilt on the same spot where it stood before being destroyed by the Babylonian army. Another fact is curious. It is well known that there have been several versions of the Bible. In different versions, there are different descriptions of the rebuilding of Jerusalem. For example, in the canonical synodal translation of the Bible, published in the 19th century, the story of the rebuilding of Jerusalem uses the word repair for the restoration. They repaired the walls. They repaired the gates. Yet in older versions of the Bible, published in the 16th century, they use the word create or build. It seems that in an older version of the Bible, the book of Nehemiah directly and exactly describes the construction of a completely new Jerusalem and not the restoration of the former destroyed city. The later editors of the Bible needed this slight change from the word build to the word repair in order to convey that Jerusalem was rebuilt on the site of the former capital city and not in a new location.
So now you got Jerusalem being wherever they call it today, and people make, little tourist attraction, and it's just a Roman version of something, a rebuilding of something, but where was the actual drop? And what happened to the Byzantine Empire in 1453? And why is that 1 year after the Papal Bull Dum Diversas of 1452 saying subjugate all of these Negroes everywhere? And who helped them do it? The other dark copper-colored Negroes, which are also called Moab or Morocco. And it was a family vendetta and a treaty and a confederacy, Psalms 83. Now, they took out this Byzantine Empire right away in 1453, 1 year after this decree. About 20, 30 years before this 1492 thing, it was taken out, bang. So what's the drop of this Mazaka? As we know, it's Mazaka, not Khazaria, all right, not whatever else, this is Mazaka, this is Moshe, this is the Rus. You already got the drop.
But that leaves us with the question, where exactly was Jerusalem built? The Moscow Kremlin.
Moscow is Moses, right? I mean, I know we're doing this. I know we're doing it live. Mazaka live. Mosak. I know we're doing it live. I know you're getting the drop. Tower of Babel. Babel. Confusion. They were hiding Meshach, Moses, and Japheth, but it is not true. We're just talking Moshe, the tribes of Moses, the Rechabites, the Kariots, possibly the Moshe and cultures in South America. Moshe, South America, and the now dead Mexico, Mexico languages in Peru. They spoke Mexica, but it's now dead, just like the Negro. Oh, but much of North Russia, Moscow, and the region Muscovy. What? What do you mean, much of the modern Russia? Parts of modern Georgia. Remember the exilarchs of Babylon and Georgia, and the Caucasus region. Huns, ancient. Mazaka, Mosak, Moshi, Moscow, Muscovy, Cappadocia is also Mazaka. Moscow reflects the old name. What old name? Moses. Moshe. And cultures in South America are connecting to the Mazaka, which is now what? The Cappadocia, which is now what? The Khazaria. Again, you go to a restaurant, you order a Caesar salad, you're ordering a Khazar salad. But these Khazars are Khazaria, are Mazaka before it was, conquered for something else. Possibly migration as far as South America. So when this 1453 Mosaka, this Byzantine Empire is taken out, are they talking about there's a migration to South America? Or there was already a migration connected there and that they were already getting down in South America? But now they're saying Moscow is also Moshe or Moses. So Moscow is Moses. Just had to get that quickly. Moscow is named after Moses. Mexico is named after Moses. Moses is everywhere. And Josephus, he says, man, the entire earth was once named Mosaka or Moses. The entire earth is named after your real Mashiach.
Russian scholars Anatoly Fomenko and Gleb Nasovsky have been working for many years on a reconstruction of the real story based on a new chronology. They have studied hundreds of ancient records and documents, analyzing the text of the Bible with the help of their own original mathematical and statistical methods. The scholars reached a conclusion which confounded even them. One of the amazing facts we brought to light in analyzing the Bible is the discovery that in a well-known book of the Old Testament, the book of Nehemiah, it seems that there is a description of the Moscow Kremlin in the 16th century.
1500s. Timeline.
This hypothesis from the very beginning dumbfounded even us. The idea arose from purely chronological reasoning. According to our research, it appears that the biblical description of the construction of Jerusalem actually refers to the 16th century. But at that time in the history of the Middle Ages, there was only one case of the construction of a major holy city, the construction of the Moscow Kremlin.
Wow.
And I'd like to point out that according to our research, the Kremlin was built in the 16th century, not in the 15th.
The 16th century, that's the 1500s. The 1500s. The 1500s, my people. Let's go.
Century, as historians have thought, but actually a century later. A comparison of the biblical description and the description from the Middle Ages shows that it actually makes sense to consider if the biblical description is actually referring to the building of the Kremlin. Part 1. When was Moscow built? At first glance, Fomenko and Nosovsky's suggestion that the Bible might describe the construction of the Moscow Kremlin sounds paradoxical. Indeed, it is generally considered that the building of Jerusalem, as described in the book of Nehemiah, occurred long before the birth of Christ, more than 2,000 years ago.
Hijack.
What does that have to do with the building of the Kremlin? And why did these scholars conclude that the ancient fortress was built in the 16th?
Dodge the hijack. They keep giving you their images, but we know what Moses looked like. We know the copper race is found here. Alright, so, they give you drop, but they brainwash you at the same time, so I gotta make you aware of it so you don't get caught up in these images, because we know what Europe looks like.
16th century, and not the 15th. History maintains that the white stone Kremlin of Ivan Kalita replaced the Kremlin built during the reign of Ivan III, and that it was constructed in the 15th century. But in the middle of the 16th century, at the very beginning of the reign of Ivan the Terrible, a fire destroyed the Kremlin. Therefore, Ivan the Terrible had to rebuild it. But the authors of the new chronology absolutely disagree. They are convinced that Ivan the Terrible didn't rebuild the Moscow Kremlin, but rather built it from scratch. This can be inferred from the history of the construction of the fortress walls of Moscow. It is generally accepted that the first ring of walls, that is, the walls of the Kremlin, were completed in the beginning of the 16th century. The construction of the second...
So this is like the Byzantine Empire falls, 1453, and then in the early 1500s, it starts to be rebuilt, and that's what they're calling this Kremlin. Let's go.
The second ring of fortress walls, called Kitai Gorod, was completed only by the year 1600. This fact deserves special attention, because for a city there is nothing more important than its defensive fortifications, even more so for a capital.
And all you gotta do is look up the Russian icons in this book, I believe, called Russian Icons, and it's very expensive. It talks about the iconoclasm, the whitewashing of all these images coming off all these walls of these dark people in rulership in Russia, Rus, Moscow, Mossack, Moshe. Put yourselves there, and you will find your home in Asia, and you'll find your home in South America, North America. Get the drop. This is bigger than their Atlantis hijack. That's why they are hiding it.
According to the generally accepted historical version, it would seem that in the 15th century, both the builders of Moscow and the leaders of the government didn't understand to what degree it was necessary to build several rows of fortress walls. Wars were sweeping the countryside. Moscow had been attacked by the Crimean Khans, but Muscovites had to wait 100 years.
By the Crimean Khans. Now they're going to bring in this old Mongolian Huns and shit, but we know that they're Khans of the Chariot. There's Genghis or Temujin. All right, and then there's what they're calling this Prester John, the foster father of Genghis Khan. You saw black Genghis Khan, and you saw black Prester John. So you're talking about dark people at war with each other. Before this other hijack scenario, what you're just saying, oh, the white man. Nah, man, these Khans and these tribes and these Moabites and Ammonites and all these other, this been going down over the land, over the promised land. We got the Kalalish drop from the 700s, and the wars of which this Theodorus is recovering the promised land in America in the 700s, which was formerly ruled by Solomon the Builder, Sylvanus. Let's go.
Before they finally built a second fortress wall. And the third wall, Bieligorod, was only built in the beginning of the 17th century. It seems that the Russian rulers needed 200 years to strengthen the defenses of their city to the standards of military technology of the time. Yet in Constantinople, for example, they already had the exact same plan of 3 rings of walls.
Constantinople, we're talking about Turkey, we're talking about Mazaka. It was already here, 3 walls, rings. Okay.
It is logical to suppose that in Moscow, the construction was carried out according to the same rules. Without such defenses, the Moscow Kremlin would have been easy prey for an enemy, but we know that in the 16th and 17th centuries, it was never attacked. There is one other curious fact. Sigismund von Herberstein, an Austrian diplomat, wrote a book called Notes on Muscovite Affairs. Baron Herberstein visited Russia twice, in 1517 and in 1529. In his book, he described in great detail his travels in Moscow and even included a detailed plan of the Moscow Kremlin. However, there doesn't seem to be any similarity between his plan and the appearance of the actual Kremlin. Anyone who has seen the Moscow Kremlin will see that the number of towers, gates, and cathedrals depicted in the plan don't match. The outer appearance also has nothing in common with reality. The only similarity is the depiction of the city at the confluence of 2 rivers. But according to the accepted timeline, by the time of Herberstein's travels, the construction of the Kremlin was already complete. Why then didn't the Austrian diplomat depict the Kremlin as it was, but instead some other fortress? Unfortunately, historians don't have a good answer to this question.
So which one is the drop? Is this an illusion, or is the one that you see today an illusion? Which one is the drop?
It is thought that he simply drew a generalized plan. However, the authors of the new chronology don't see anything strange. Herberstein simply couldn't draw a correct plan of the Moscow Kremlin because at the time of his travels, it hadn't been built yet. At best, it was still being built, but hadn't yet reached its finished appearance.
Man, alright. So next time we're going to get on this part 3, the towers and the gates. We're just talking babbles. Nah, we're talking about these towers. We're talking about these gates. We're talking about the summer gate. We're talking about the summer gate. Ra, they say. What's beyond the walls? What's beyond this wall? These rings. All of it is playing. All of it is playing. Man. Let's get some little bit of this drop out this ancient knowledge a little bit. And then I want to get the dismount on the, let me get about 5 or 6 minutes to continue our, this particular series of what Tesla's dropping. And then we're going to get into, the RFG and make our dismount. Love y'all, man. This is a great series and something I love to keep going back to because it reminds us of the real deal. The real deal. All right. This story was written by Tesla himself. And you will note in this story that Tesla gives full credit to God, the creator, or whatever God, for his ability to discover some amazing new ideas in the Bible. So they want to throw out the babies with the bathwater. Well, they're getting out the babies. And what are they getting from the babies? As I have mentioned before, the microwave comes from the 4th chapter of Revelations, which is, of course, based on the Tanakh. All right, so they're basing and extracting everything really out of this Tanakh. Even when they say Matthew, they're all getting it out of the Tanakh, man. Nehemiah, Tesla's last known living assistant's recorded statement. So this is a recorded statement from Tesla, man, saying that I got all my drop from the scriptures. All my new ideas. In many places in his work, Tesla mentions the fact that he was inspired by Bible study to conceive his amazing ideas. His idea of an alternative circuit comes from the book of Matthew. In other words, from the Trinity. All right, well, which one? Huh? The patriarchs? Which one? All right, but yeah, the book of Matthew, the same. All right, so Tesla explains that his microwave, for instance, is not what many others think it is. Ooh, what is it? What is it? What's the microwave? It is not a wave. It is a dimension. Whoa. So your microwave ovens are literally in another dimension? I mean, what's really going on? The actual dimension of the beam, Tesla clearly states that his microwave is a beam which grows smaller. What does it mean? It seemed a hopeless undertaking, but I made up my mind to try it, and immediately on my return to the United States in the summer of 1892, after a short visit to my friends in Watford, England, work was begun, which was to me all the more attractive because a means of the same kind was necessary for successful transmission of energy without the wires. Wireless flow. The prana you breathe. Take a deep breath, my people. Feed your brain the prana, get the wave, get the energy. Successful transmission of energy without wires. You didn't have to write things down. Thought brought you down with writing. You had the ability successfully to transmit energy without the wire, without the grid. At this time, I made a further careful study of the Bible and discovered the key in Revelations. Of course, Revelations, we got that based in the book of Daniel, man, which was written when, man? Tesla, in the article The Fairy Tale of Electricity, published in September 9, 1915, stated regards to the ark, the records, though scanty, are of a nature to fill us with conviction that a few initiated at least, had a deeper knowledge of amber phenomena. Who got the drop on amber phenomena? To mention one, Moses was undoubtedly a practical and skillful electrician far in advance of his time. Whoa, Moshe, Mosaka, Moscow. Who are you and what are they protecting by keeping you asleep? Copper color. What's copper? It's electricity. Let's just get this. The Bible describes precisely and minutely arrangements constituting a machine in which electricity was generated by friction of air against silk curtains and stored in a box constructed like a condenser. We're talking about the ark, man. We're just talking about the ark of the what? The covenant. Whose covenant? The Creator. With what? Numbers which were discovered, not invented. And what number are you? What is the I am? So this machine, this ark, in which electricity was generated by friction of air against silk curtains and stored in a box constructed like a condenser, it is very plausible to assume that the sons of Aaron were killed by a high-tension discharge and that the Vestal fires of the Romans were electrical. So everyone knows that your drop, when you get the number, when you get the comprehension, it creates. Now, if someone has to drop on your creation, then they are keeping you subjugated in a alternate creation, in a Christ conscious grid, altering your numbers, altering your grid, which is why we're going back to the 432. And on that, man, let's get this RFG. Man. Love to hire, man. Go get that Yosef fasting with chastity or combining luxury with license. So smooth. It's so smooth. Hire Mark. Man, get that Bob Marley live, man. 432 RFG chosen one. What time is it, man? Go ahead and drop a few, man. We'll get a few minutes of this, man. Love to y'all for surfing the wave.
Yo, what's good, everybody? RFG is back at it, and we're going to get into this topic pertaining to the mummies and lost civilizations that our government keeps excavating in North America.
Whoa.
Okay? I've been telling individuals for the longest that the term African American is non-existent, and the first civilizations, okay, that inhabited North and South America were inhabited by none other than our ancestors, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? This is further proof. The first video I showed you on this topic was my video Lost Pharaohs. It was called American Pharaohs and Lost Continents. Okay? If you haven't seen that, go check that video out. I exposed them excavating mummies out of the deserts of Nevada. Now, this is going to show more information on what our government found in the Grand Canyon, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so when we look at what this article is right here, it says, when Smithsonian discovered an ancient Egyptian colony in the Grand Canyon. Okay, this is showing ancient Egypt right here, but if you read this article, it goes into full detail about what was found, what the dates were, and who was involved. Okay, they tried to cover it up. There were some people even trying to classify it as a hoax, and I'm here to tell you today that no, it is not a hoax. Ladies and gentlemen, they want us to think it's a hoax so they can keep us buying in to the African American illusion. So by us classifying ourselves as African first, the government can rightfully take this land and classify it for themselves.
Bang.
They take ownership for themselves. Okay, this is our land by blood.
Blood.
Okay, I'm talking about the real natives. Okay, I'm talking about the melanated people in America, and I'm talking about the red natives as well, because over half of their lineage goes back to the originals.
Well, I guess you could say, I mean, look, they were created here. Now, what seed are they? Now, if they're Spaniard seed, then their dominion is wherever these Spaniards are supposed to be. You don't get to be a Spaniard seed born here and be of America just because you never have known another land because you were recently created in America. You still got to go home to your daddy. All right? But, let's go.
Okay? We were all living as one.
You never got to go wherever you wanted. You went where your daddy is from. And if you were somewhere else, you better have a pass. You better have a pass by that tribe. You know what it is being from LA or somewhere else, man. You better have a pass, man, if you're from somewhere that you ain't grown up from. You ain't got no homies in the area or something like that. Unless you just square business, man. But, you better have a pass, man. You don't just have a daddy from somewhere else and say, yeah, I'm gonna live here. That's some new age stuff. All right, your tribe ain't from here. They ain't protecting you here. You better choose up. Now, you're under the protection of who right now? The Pharaoh. They tell the Moors where to go. They say, oh, under this permission, you can do this. Under this permission, you can do that. They got permission to be here. They got permission from who? The Pharaoh, not the creator. And that is where the rump lies.
On this land. This is very sacred land we live on, North America.
Come on.
Okay, so here goes some more pictures of what they found and tried to keep secret in this Grand Canyon. This is why they were forced to call it a hoax, ladies and gentlemen. Because this is what they found in the Grand Canyon.
Bang.
Okay? This is what they found. They found a pharaoh's tomb. They did not give out any identification on the particular pharaoh whatsoever. These are the artifacts that they found.
No, I mean, Harmonics got the drop. Harmonics already, man. Go check out Harmonics. He's dropping thorough knowledge of what was really coming out and how this is connected to Joseph, also called Zarathustra, also called Imhotep, All this is connecting to this Joseph. Which means what? If Joseph is ruling this kingdom of Egypt, and if it's going down here, then yeah, it really is all your land, so-called Negro. I mean, he was buying it all up, right? Let's go.
In the Grand Canyon, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think it's a joke, I'm telling you right now, all you have to do is put in Grand Canyon mummies. All you have to do is put in Grand Canyon mummies. First things first, you have to read the article, okay, that the Smithsonian put out a while back. This is the title of that article. Okay, they tried to play this off like it was just some hoax and some kind of joke. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what they ended up finding.
Okay,
I'll show you all the pictures. Okay, this is one. This is what they excavated out of certain caves in the Grand Canyon. They also found a lost pyramid. Okay, this is going to blow you guys away. Okay, this is one mummy. This is another artifact that they found. Look, they found this. They found this in America, people. Okay, this is blowing a complete hole in the whole transatlantic slave movement and that whole story. This is basically putting large holes in that theology. Okay, this is what they found when they tried to excavate most of these tombs. Okay, this was in the mid to late 90s. Okay, there goes a actual, this person looks like a Hopi, a member of the Hopi tribe who was actually mummified in the Grand Canyon. Okay, because the Hopi got their theology and their whole doctrine from these individuals right here. Okay, the Dogon tribe. Okay, these two individuals, these two groups have the same ideology. The Hopi, okay, they got most of their ideology and information of the cosmos and of nature, okay, coming directly from the Dogon tribe. Okay, they both believe that human civilization started and got most of their knowledge from the Nomos individuals inhabiting the Sirius star system.
Right, that's that fallen angel hijack. You know, and love this brother RFG. Of course we disagree. We know it's not about agreeing with everybody 100%, nothing like that. Clearly we have fundamental differences, but I love the brother because, you know what I'm saying, I feel like he's really fighting for something, man, and, you know, that's love to the bro. So, again, they talking about coming from Mars and Tau Ceti and the Sirius and all this stuff. That's their thought frequency knowledge. So the Hopi, he's saying, is connected to that. That's not the creator information. Oh, the creation comes from Sirius. The Sirius is only a few thousand miles away. All right, so another energy is there. All right, but is this up or is this straight? These are all connected sky areas. These are all land areas, and this is all water, and it's all connected when you go straight.
The star system is a binary star system, and it actually used to be 4 stars. It started out as 4 stars: Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C, and Sirius D. Now, Sirius D is Saturn. Sirius D is the planet Saturn, the fallen one. Okay. When you talk about Sirius and Orion, you're actually talking about the god Osiris. You see, Orion, Sirius, Osiris.
Bang.
That is the god Osiris, basically controlling the energy of these 2 star systems, Sirius and Orion's belt.
They are controlling time, right? But what governs it? What order is above it?
The 2 most important star constellations to our ancestors. Okay? Another thing I want to touch on is this right here.
Okay.
As a lot of us already know, Lower Egypt is what they call, you know, Northern Egypt. And Upper Egypt is what they call Southern Egypt. So wait a second. When we look at this, we would think that this is asked backwards. But no, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This area right here was inhabited by our ancestors, and this is where they chose to build the pyramids.
No, my brother, respectfully. This is where Thoth says in the Emerald Tablets he went to Barbaria in the 18th dynasty, 6th king, something like that, 6th pharaoh. 18th dynasty, Tutmos, whatever they're calling this connection. This Thoth, born of Thoth. All right, that's what this particular Thutmoses was, born of Thoth, setting up this particular situation. Now, their ancestors were here. He keeps saying ours. He's connecting it to the celestial. So every time he says our ancestors, he's referring to Thoth and them. But we are not under that spell. And one day my bro will, you know, he's right there, man. So lower and upper, is it because of whatever he's going to get into these pole shifts, spinning on the ball? Or is it because your map is flipped upside down? And could your map being flipped upside down be the simple conclusion of why the ancestors, their ancestors, or our indigenous people here before the Atlantean hijack in the 18th dynasty, why they knew that this was lower and upper? This is up, that is down. This is down, that is up.
Okay? They called this Lower Egypt because in their time, it was really Lower Egypt. What am I trying to say? Ladies and gentlemen, there was a massive pole shift on this earth.
All right, here we go.
That changed the whole climate on this planet. Okay, this is why the civilization that was inhabiting Arizona, okay, these pharaohs in Arizona, this is what happened to them. Okay, they were experiencing major catastrophes that were destroying their civilizations all across this planet. Okay,
or they got rolled up on in the 1400s. The copper color races found here by the Europeans. If they are in America, then we are connecting all of the copper color races in America, including that which is in so-called Egypt, which a lot of our people were there too, of course, right? So we are all in that four corner region, that Califia region, that Pick Land region. And it doesn't have to be some type of polar ice shift to destroy these people when you got the Anasazi flow and you got all of the, hijack of Atlantis already being destroyed. It's not a natural cataclysm. It's the creator destroying Atlantis. That's what happened to these people. They want to, respectfully, man, because I love this brother, but, bounce it off on the world, spinning at 1,100 miles per hour and some pole shifts. And oops, that's what happened to these people in Arizona. That's why you think Upper and Lower Egypt are flip-flop? Or did they flip your map and kill all the, or disease all of the indigenous people when they got here in the 1400s? And even before that, was Atlantis not destroyed? Was Atlantis not destroyed? And where did it pick up? In what he's referring to, Upper and Lower Egypt there. But first it was here, and everybody knows it was here. All these sunken islands and continents here. Atlas is Poseidon's son. The plural form is Atlantis. He is rocking with Atlantis. I don't rock with Poseidon. I don't rock with Moors from Mars. I don't rock with the celestial. I rock with the creator above the firmament. Remember, the firmament and the barrier equals firmament, and that's drop nation all up on y'all. Dig it or get left on. The firmament, the barrier, the firmament. I rock with the creator. I rock with Hawa. I rock with the establishment. I don't rock with the celestial hijack. So they were destroyed because they were celestial hijacks running from the hounds of the barrier along with Thoth. They're running from you.
And if you don't believe me, here goes the pyramid that they found in Arizona, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, now look at this. See this step? See these steps? See this pyramid? Now this is Arizona within the Grand Canyon. See, it was quarried out by machinery. Quarried out. Now these were all also trees, and they put pyramids on them. First they were trees, they cut them down, they put their 440 hijack pyramids, and those were destroyed, and now you see a remnant of it, a desolate wasteland. Atlantis.
Very closely at this structure. very closely. Okay, there goes a certain entrance right there in the front. Okay, we're going to look at different angles of it. Here goes a sideways image. And it's definitely a pyramid, okay? Because this is where they excavated those artifacts that I just showed you, okay? And this, just by looking at it and looking at the erosion that's on the surface, this pyramid may be just as old as the pyramids in Antarctica.
Oh, it's very old. And Antarctica surrounds you. That is perspective. Yeah, these are old. This is old drop. This is Atlantis, but it's still your land, which is why the Creator destroys everything and everybody that's trying to get up on your land, my people. Your land. Now, I'm just going to make my dismount here, man. Let me do it like this, man. Let me see if I can bring something up right quick. Because now, I think we got our perspective. We know we're not spinning on no balls, man. So we can now bring in, a little bit of this, what they're calling an odd color sun. Actually,
well, over the years, we have all been entertained mightily for those of us who have followed.
I love y'all, man. Vibrate up.
And good Lord, the internet is just full of the strange things that we see.
Skip ahead a little bit.
Now watch.
No, this is a camera off the ISS, all right? So it's picking up what they're calling an artificial sun, meaning man-made or creator-made, something that is very highly technical. So they call it artificial because it's so technical. I guess this is an artificial Earth, or this is a creator-made Earth. But they say, oh, it's artificial. I can't explain it. It's just so technical. Oh, it's high levels technologies.
Just so you know, it's now coming over. You need to watch this area here. I think that this is part of an artificial sun.
Artificial, okay.
You can see watch this. All it was right from this.
Look where he's at. All right.
And then this has always been a source of one of those, what are they doing? Why are we getting
now look at
light
this.
off of it?
They're seeing this little square shield around it. They're calling it artificial. It says we are seeing for the first time what has been showing to us as the sun, but look at the square screen around this thing. Is this the ISS? How can it be generating this kind of power, and from where? This is a clear problem. Exactly what is this? People have been seeing plasma shoot out from the sun to the earth. We're being frequencied up,
event,
energized.
We saw a breakdown
activated
of the device itself.
Is it breaking down? Look at this. What is this? Notice the light beams coming from the sun to what? You are being frequencied up.
Next frame, we're seeing literally debris coming off of whatever this artificial sun is.
What is it?
And I do believe that this is one of several artificial suns.
One of several suns? We just got that with the Japanese map, right? There's more suns, more land, artificial or creator-made.
Again, you're seeing a glitch in the system. This is actually debris coming off of the sun. Well, not the sun, the artificial sun.
Right, it can't be the real sun. It's artificial.
You can see again that they're shooting light of intensity up here, and we're getting the reaction of it.
We're getting the reaction of light. Look at all this light. It's a light show.
Here's where you really begin to see the breakdown. You clearly see that there is a tremendous light source beam coming up here, hitting this panel. This panel is actually smoke, in which, how can you have smoke in space?
Because you're not in space.
Here's another one.
You're not in
Think that
space.
we don't have a mystery here?
How can you have smoke in space? You're not in a vacuum. They don't train at vacuum facilities.
Here we have two artificial suns going
2 suns? I wonder where this one is going.
at the same time. Now, you can say, well, that can't be. I agree. One of these is not the real sun. Maybe neither one.
So a sun is a what? Star. So you see 2 stars and they both look like machinery. So are these a representation of fallen angels, high level energy technology, or is this the creator's technology and these are different suns going to different lands? I mean, yay, we're all surfing the wave. We're trying to figure that out. Now, he dropped something about the clouds. Let's see. Y'all check that out, man. It's a good, some good drop over here with this R. Wayne Steiger report. All right. Now, he dropped on the clouds are lowering. And this is where we'll make our departure. Love to everyone surfing the wave. Shabbat shalom. I love all y'all.
The great thing about the internet
clouds
is
are lowering.
that if you use it as a research tool to begin to go back and
Earth's clouds are getting lower. What does it mean?
get the pieces of time, right, that when a story was
Let's go.
to have a cooling effect. Okay. So I began to collect some other pictures that I thought you might be interested in seeing and to seeing how this phenomenon is actually happening. So this is what we expect to see, right? It's, satellite pictures. This is how, meteorologists and planners in a variety of different parts of the economy actually look. This is what we perceive to be clouds looking down upon them. Ever flown in a plane, we know it's a kind of different perspective when you're actually climbing through them. But seriously, how would we know if, in fact, clouds are lowering? I mean, pilots are seeing it, but to those of us who are not in the occupation that requires us to fly at 30,000 feet plus every day, it would be one of those things that you wouldn't notice.
Look at that.
What we do notice
Look at that.
is more and more pictures from all around the world of clouds that have been properly identified, but it's the way that these clouds are coming in and particularly the colors. But even with clouds that we can identify, how would you know if they were lower? And now we have artificial clouds. Yeah, if it isn't bad enough, realizing that we've got the real clouds that are becoming lower, we've got artificial clouds. But there is enough anecdotal evidence that actually would say and confirm that clouds are getting lower. I mean, seriously, how would you know the difference? Is this normal? Yes? No? I don't know. I think, maybe. I wouldn't know. Now, I lived in Tennessee, and particularly when you live in the Blue Ridge Mountains out there, you see this effect all the time. Winter, summer, and it gives you a perspective of how clouds, moisture, etc. actually form. But I don't ever recall that this phenomenon, and when you look at this and you're staring up, you've got the mountain in the backdrop, right? And someone's obviously looking straight up. Again, very hard to really get a perspective if a cloud's at a normal height or not. I mean, we see more and more clouds, and we're seeing more unusual clouds. Now, we're going to look in here in a little bit about these nanosecond clouds, the rainbow clouds. Supposed to be a rare phenomenon, right? Well, it appears that what was once rare is becoming more normal. So the question I have, what's going to replace the rare? Because so far it's been really, really far out. But normal cloud? Yes. How do you know if that's normally the height of it? I don't know. I know we're getting some
Man, if y'all see
far
some
out
stuff like
pictures. I
this,
mean,
send me some
holy
pictures.
cow.
Send me some
You really
pictures.
don't need any type of psychedelics here. Mother Nature and man and whoever is putting on quite the show. But this we can say, I mean, there's just some weird phenomenon happening, right? I mean, light can really play havoc on our senses, and then
The sun will have to be hitting the plane from underneath it to make a shadow above it on the clouds. So how's your sun 96 million miles away? Come on, man.
you add clouds and you say, well, what is normal, what isn't? I don't know.
Wow.
There's a lot of theorists that say that
Is this a cloud? Is this a cloud? Is this a cloud?
cloaking devices use clouds. Well, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I know that if you live near mountains, you get these, which are phenomenal clouds, but if you never lived near mountains and you came to visit a mountain, you would find that to be very unusual.
Is that a cloud?
But what does become even more unusual, again, is when the rare starts to become much more of the norm. Look at this. And now we're getting this event. Last year, there were more and more stories about, and in fact, here in Colorado, we actually, the news covered one of these events, where these clouds form, and where before you would see rain shafts. Yeah, we get that. That's going to happen when you get them out of the base of these clouds. But now it's happening where it's like it's so concentrated into a small specific area.
And we know we got HARP. We know we got weaponized, weather right now. So, we're playing it off.
If you're underneath that, it's going to be woe is you. But again, the point to this, how would we know? What is causing this effect? Because if it's happening, which it appears that it is, what's causing it? Is it because, and NASA doesn't seem to have a real answer for it. And if you live in the big cities, seriously, how would you know? Now, I visit New York, and I can tell you there have been times when I have been out along where you can actually go out and see the Statue of Liberty at night and look out on the piers, where the clouds just seem really low. But it could be that you're in a city that has very high skyscrapers. But we do see a number of odd phenomena happening more and more.
Wow.
When you begin to see some of scientists that try to explain it, some who just don't even want to.
I want you to see this one. Look at this one. It looks like a face right here to me. You know what I mean? Looks like a face right here to me. Rainbow cloud, face.
We have scientists that try to explain it. Some who just don't even want to touch it. And rightfully so. Yeah,
No, go back. Rightfully so what?
Some who just don't even want to touch it. And rightfully so.
Wait. Do y'all see a woman here? Am I tripping? I see eyes. I see eyelids and eyebrows, 2 eyes, and I see flowing hair. Like this large, woman energy with flowing hair. With flowing hair, man. I'm telling y'all, stay up, suit up, and keep choosing up. And know that it's bigger. It's bigger than rap. It's bigger than the lingo. It's all about perspective. And what's your perspective? What's your perspective of your land? What's your perspective of your people? And what's your perspective of your sacred trees? Stay up, suit up, choose up. And y'all have a wonderful, peaceful vibration. And know that we're coming home. And that our perspective is regaining and returning and remembering. Love to all. Drop Nation.